I think I may have taken a wrong turn on the way to the office this morning. Okay, so I'm actually back in Oxford, and I'm back for a live stream. So this here is the studio underneath the IT services at the University of Oxford. This has been a completely flying visit. So we're about 15 minutes out from going live. I'm talking to a bunch of experts from different disciplines about the topic of immortality and would you like to live forever? Anyway, I need to get on stage.
I'm running 13 minutes.
Woo. Yeah. Right. Oh, that went rather well. You can also see here, that's the physics department. Well, part of it, that's the astrophysics building. So that's where I spent a lot of tutorial time. But yeah, that live stream went pretty well. You can actually watch it. I'll include a link down there. It's for this website called Oxplore, which is the University of Oxford's new website promoting big ideas and getting kids in schools to think about these big questions. So this one was about would you want to live forever, but there are going to be other ones in the future. So it was genuinely really interesting to be part of. So thank you, Alex at Oxford, for inviting me to do it. So I'm currently walking down this street, which I walk down every day, basically, of my undergraduate, because I'm going from the physics department back to St. Peter's, because I'm doing some more filming. Hello, Buzz. This was my home for 4 years of my life. So I'm back in St. Peter's to film this man. Where is he? There. There's Dan. Dan Pugh-Bevan is the, well, what's your official title?
Schools Liaison Officer.
So you do, it's access work basically, right? You're trying to encourage people to apply to Oxford and people like us who went to state schools in particular. So we're doing, there's a rather swanky, if I may say so myself, setup.
And we've coordinated.
Yeah, we've really coordinated. So Dan's a really interesting guy. He's like me in that he came to Oxford from a state school. Nobody had been to uni before from his family, I think. And like me, he's been doing access for absolutely years. Here was his one thing. I asked him if there was one thing he wished that people just knew about Oxford Access.
You wouldn't believe how many meetings I go to with all sorts of very important people, from government to university importance as well, who are always talking about how we change the representation in this university and the types of students that apply here, how we attract them, and also the processes by which they're admitted. It's a conversation that basically goes on every single day. Now, you may not think that they're going on, because sometimes they haven't quite reached you yet, or they might be focusing on maybe teachers this week or people in care another week. But the range of different sorts of representation that we want to work with and how to change it is a conversation that's continually going on.
This is St. Peter's, by the way. This was my home. This is Linton Quad that I'm in at the moment. So that's Linton House. That's the library up top. I'll have to do some proper videos about this one day. That was where my tutor was, in the incredibly ugly Latner building. That's the chapel, which is huge relative to the size of the college. It's like an old parish church, basically. But it's an amazing acoustic. And that way is a building site. This is Mulberry Quad, and that's staircase 4, which is where some of my friends lived. And down there is the best bar in all of Oxford, but it's closed. Sad face. I do absolutely love it here, and it has changed quite a bit. Well, you can see there's building work at the moment. It has changed quite a bit since I've been here, but it's always going to feel like home, and every time I come back it feels like home. The porters are the same, the master still recognises me and asks how I'm doing. I know that I can always come back, which is one of those benefits to an Oxford education that they just kind of don't tell you about. You get a new home and a new family. Now it's time to get all of this gear on a train in the rain by myself. Should be good.
Well, that was horrible.
So I'm back in Exeter, and I am going to talk about the work tomorrow in the vlog, because today, well, all week as a matter of fact, this is happening. It's Freshers Week. So this is the week when, you know, societies try and recruit new freshers into their societies. So I think they get divided up by kind of classifications. So today is all the sports people, which, I mean, for goodness sake, in this one shot you've got the water polo club, There's the like skiing people, EXE, I'm not actually quite sure what it stands for. You've got lacrosse, you've got rugby league, you've got rowing. Then just over here, there's I think taekwondo doing a demonstration for freshers to varying degrees of success. The actual boat club, not rowing, but the actual boat. Most importantly, you've got the ice cream truck. We've got these dudes skateboarding, which I think is a society and not just people messing around, but I'm not sure. You've got korfball. These kids, these students who are coming up to university, being exposed to uni for the first time, they were in primary school when I was finishing my A-levels. This is my 9th Freshers Week. So this wasn't originally part of the plan for this vlog this week, but I just got ambushed by these two.
Hi.
So, right, the story here is it Bianca, you stalked me and reported my position to...
I just came here to see him. I had to see him play.
It was me working away and these two people just turned up. Like, it's him!
I'm gonna be in the vlog.
So you're in the vlog.
I can't even.
Say hi to your parents and everything.
Hi mum, dad, I've made
Hi.
it. Finally, I've made it in life. I'm famous now.
Weren't they nice? So I just went for a quick cheeky run. But I'm back now, about to do some editing for the next couple of hours. But I thought, because I showed you my 9th Freshers Week today, it might be fun to go back and talk about my Freshers Week, my first one in St. Peter's, which you saw yesterday. So obviously Freshers was a huge deal for me, as it is for everybody. It was the first time that I moved away from home for any really significant amount of time. And I remember we drove up there with a car that was really way too full of stuff. And it was quite fun because when you drive to uni like that, you see other cars that are heading in the same direction as you, and they're also stuffed with things, and you're like, we know where you're going! I remember hang on, I'm really orange, can I do something about this? So I remember being dropped off, and the first place I went to was the bar. That was some foreshadowing in retrospect. And I met these two girls, Brinky and Tara. I can't remember if I've told this story before, but they were the first two people I met at St. Peter's, and they were unbelievably friendly and nice, and literally from the word go, I felt at home. And that was basically the tone for the rest of the week. I fit in really, really well. And I didn't enjoy my first year at Oxford a huge amount because I didn't adapt to the work very well. I worked myself too hard because I thought it was just like school. If I keep pushing, I'd eventually just get it. And I didn't realise that if I did it at the rate that Oxford required of me, I was going to burn out, which I did. Also, I was in a relationship at the time, which meant I was leaving Oxford a lot, so I didn't really develop a social group because when I was in Oxford, I was just working all the time. But my Freshers Week was the first, we did 2 weeks away from each other for both of our Freshers Week deliberately, and I'm so glad we did because I actually got to know people and know people that I still talk to now on Facebook and Twitter. So at the time, St. Peter's had a croquet lawn because, of course, it's an Oxford college, and they put up a marquee, which is in these pictures, which was amazing, like to have a tent basically with a chandelier on a croquet lawn. I was like, yeah, I think I've arrived. I think this is Oxford now. And the second year's arranged a bunch of drinking games and non-drinking games. I'd like to point out it wasn't just drinking, although for some reason the drinking ones like shot wheelbar races just stuck in my mind. Interestingly enough, I also took pictures of the bar because, well, for one thing, it is the best bar in Oxford, no question. It's also my favourite bar in the world because just so many memories there. And the beer was £1.60 a pint, which is, for those of you not in the UK, really cheap. Also in there, they did a jazz jam, and I played sax in there, and I didn't do this at any other point when I was in Oxford. Oh, no, I think I did it one other time maybe. But basically just turn up with instruments and you played. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I'd never done anything like it before, but I just turned up, I was like, yeah, I can play jazz on the saxophone. I played a little bit before, but never anything live. It was really fun. I loved doing it. I looked like a twat. There are other aspects to talk about, like my room, which was in New Block, for those of you at St. Peter's, and hall, and all that kind of stuff. But I think anybody who knew me in Freshers Week and watched these videos, actually, if that is you, please comment. It would be unforgivable for me not to talk about my Stormtrooper costume. This thing, as far as I could tell, was basically what I was known for in St. Peter's, because the first BOP, which is basically a fancy dress party, they're always themed, and the first BOP for St. Peter's was something beginning with S or P or C, because St. Peter's College. And I went for the S, I went through a Stormtrooper. Not like Schutzstaffel, or no, Sturmabteilung, I mean like a Star Wars Stormtrooper. And I made the thing. It was a big undertaking because I built the whole thing out of cardboard and papier-mâché and one World War II like plastic helmet, which I bought. And it was unbelievably uncomfortable because the legs were just like cylinders of cardboard, so they just rode right up into my groin when I walked, and I basically managed to wear it for about an hour before I had to take it off. But it was amazing, and I think I made kind of enough of an impression for it to last for a few years. My proudest part of that, by the way, was the pauldrons, the shoulder bits, because they were two halves of a papier-mâché covered balloon that I popped. And then so to like put papier-mâché over it, let it harden, pop the balloon, painted it all white, and then they were my shoulder pieces. That was fun. I actually busted it out again for my final bop. I wore it for the first one and for the last one. I didn't go to many bops, to be fair, but for the last one I upgraded it. Like, I made the legs more ergonomic. I put eyepieces in. I had an old pair of sunglasses and I put them in the eye holes. I was really proud of that thing. I wore it one other time and then I had to throw it away because it was just in a bag. But that was my magnum opus. For those of you who might be watching this with the title it has and going to Freshers Week soon, I would recommend get involved. Don't be shy. I mean, obviously it's scary. I remember being scared, and I'm quite an introverted person, but I think it's important to just say, I don't often do this on the channel, but I'm just going to censor it. Say f*** it, because why not? You know, it's like starting a complete new life, and particularly in non-collegiate universities, you've got to get yourself involved in societies that are about things you're interested in, because that's how you make friends with, with people who are interested in the same things as you. In Oxford, it's a little bit different. You kind of have to, you don't have to, but you have a ready-made friendship group in your college. But then, get involved in the college stuff. Get to know people, get chatting. Often people develop ridiculous personas when they go to Freshers Week to kind of just be like, oh, I'm just going to be totally different and wild. Don't do that, be yourself. But just try and be the outgoing version of yourself. Try things, sign up to loads of societies, go to one event of each. If you find one that you really like, go for it. There's nothing wrong with going to the society and then just removing yourself from the mailing list. Also, drinking is a big part of uni culture in the UK, if we're being honest. But you don't have to drink. I don't think anybody who... You shouldn't be worrying about anybody who forces you to drink, because you can always say no, and if you aren't comfortable, say no. The people that are going to be forcing you are lowlifes. So don't worry about that. But equally, if you want to drink, do drink. Just know your limits. Freshers is the classic time when people don't do this. But, just be safe, okay? Be aware of where you're at in terms of drink, and don't do it quickly. Alternate between hard drinks and soft drinks, believe me, that is a pro tip. And also, don't do 10 shots of Sambuca in a row, because it will end badly. Right, now with that, and the light suddenly making an appearance, I'm going to get some work done, but I'll see you tomorrow. So there are all manner of wonderful things about Exeter's campus, and there are all kinds of great things about staying late for someone like me. One of which is wildlife on campus. Because behind me, over there, is a happy little badger. For those of you who aren't from the UK, maybe you don't know what this is. It's quite a large nocturnal animal. There's a lot of controversy about culling them, which is completely unscientific. They're basically blind, so as long as I'm quiet and I stay downwind, it's not going to freak out. Ooh. There he goes. You could seriously do a whole wildlife show about the wildlife on campus, because you see badgers, foxes, rabbits, squirrels, loads of different birds, and I don't know very much about birds. But basically, because the campus is so nice, when all the students are, being quiet like at night, all these animals come out. It's great. Okay, wow, strange day. Hang on, I haven't put any gunk in my hair. One sec. So all good things must come to an end, and I am moving out of the house. This is all happening very quickly. I'm basically going to stay with a friend, Michael, in his spare room for the rest of the time that I'm doing the thesis, because hopefully it's going to be less than 2 months. So it's a temporary arrangement, and I'm basically getting all my stuff together today, so I haven't got into work. I've actually been packing all morning, and I've also been editing. I've been, hopefully these have come out a long time ago. I've been putting together all the Oxbridge videos that I've made, so little 2-minute ones about GCSEs and personal statement and stuff like that. So quite an intense morning, actually. Now the reason that it's really important that I move out now is because this is what our living room looks like. This is Ed forcing himself to live, well, we're forcing him to live. More specifically, I'm forcing him to live out of bags and sleeping on the sofa, and frankly, this is untenable. We just can't keep living like this. So I'm getting out of here. So far today, I have edited 6 videos. I did my beard one, and I did the Oxbridge ones. I just had lunch, and I just watched a bunch of YouTube for inspiration, and now it's like, yeah, let's make this 7, baby. If it's all right with you, I'm going to degreenify you. No, I'm just going to keep you here whilst I start getting this edit set up. I like watching YouTube for inspiration in the same way that no, that's as wide as it goes. Professional YouTuber. I presume in the same way that writers like to read novels. You know, it's an inspiration for your style, and inevitably makes you feel both better and worse about yourself, because you always sort of watch other people's videos and think, oh god, they're so good. But the problem, of course, is that I'm watching, I mean, in that one sitting, I must have watched like 10 videos, and like whilst eating lunch, and I don't think I watched more than 1 video per channel. And so, like, you know, each one of those people might put up 1 video a month. I mean, they don't. They put up more frequently than that, but it might be one like feature, what I think of as feature videos per month. You know, and so I'm just getting through them in like over the course of an hour or so, and it's just like it's overload from like a stylistic and video making perspective, because I'm on the receiving end. But if I was to watch each one of them being made, I would see the craft that goes into them, and in some cases, you know, the weeks of effort. For example, Soviet Womble, who's a current favourite channel of mine. I had a weird dream that I was in a Soviet Womble video the other day. And for other people's videos like Vox, you know, multiple people working on it, and also people who are doing it full time rather than trying to do it alongside a PhD. Although admittedly today, and in fact in this vlog in generally, you haven't seen very much work, and that's because I don't want to sound like a stat record, because at the moment my life is basically just working. Today is an exception that I've taken the day off to pack, which you might be able to see just out of frame there, to pack, to get everything ready and to get a bunch of videos out, because with these videos, if I can get them all done today, this is like 3 weeks worth of content, and I don't have to edit for a while, so I can really focus in on the PhD. So it's like investing time. That's what I'm thinking of it. I also just happen to like editing. Do you want to do a time lapse? Let's do a time lapse. You haven't had a time lapse this vlog yet, have you? No, that's definitely a lie. I always do time lapses. How many more times can I say time lapse before I run out of breath? Time lapse, time lapse, time lapse, time lapse, time lapse, na 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 na. All right, time to move house. Okay, so it is much later. I've had a few beers and I moved in. So this is my new home. This is basically my friend Michael's. Come on, focus on me, please. This is my friend Michael's study that he's letting me stay in for the next couple of weeks while I finish up my PhD. This is going to be the room where I possibly write the last sentences of my PhD. Presses Reach just keeps rolling on. I've had one of those days where I really struggled to vlog. To be honest, I've really struggled to do anything today. I feel like I just didn't really wake up this morning. Like, even this camera's cockeyed, hang on. Like, I've been putting off talking to camera, partly because I've been in the office a lot, and when I haven't been in the office, I've been in the forum, and there's a lot of people in the forum because it's Freshers Week, and a lot of people in the office at the moment. So I haven't had much of an opportunity to vlog, but also it's like, what do I talk about? At the end of the day, this vlog is about me doing my PhD, and that is a very boring, repetitious process, especially at the moment. I have spent all day, well, I mean, I've been changing a write-up in my thesis because I did something in one coordinate system, and I was basically not cheating, but I was doing a simplified version. Instead of doing something in latitude, longitude, I was doing it in X and Y, so basically pretending the Earth was flat, and I could completely do that because you approximate that the Earth is so big that locally, like here, the Earth is flat, right? Hashtag flat earthers. So in terms of the derivations I was doing, it doesn't change anything. I just needed to rewrite this whole section, which didn't take very long. And since then, there's a factor of 10, or it might be a factor of g, which is 9.81-ish, that's gone rogue in one of my equations. I can't find it anywhere, and basically there's something going a little bit awry. So my day has consisted of trawling through code, trying to find a factor of 10 or g, and there's so many places it could be. It's not even computer science, it's just checking through I think it's about 4 programs, and each of them are like a few hundred lines long, and it's like, that might not sound very much, but it's just, it doesn't help. Yes, it's not very much, and if I was laser focused, I could probably do it in a day, but I'm at this point with the PhD, I am just exhausted, if I'm being completely honest, in this vlog, which is, one of the things that's important to be. I am just exhausted, even though I took yesterday off effectively with the move, and I gave myself a nice lie-in to sort out my new room this morning. I'm just knackered, I really am. I've also had a very moustache heavy day. I can't stop playing with it. I realised that I can curl it up like this. If I was to put wax in it, I could like dull. So yeah, this has been distracting me because, yeah, I want to get this thing off my face so badly. I've got to just finish.
Where are you hiding? You're in here somewhere. Or possibly one of these other files.
So I've had a realization, it's not a factor of g or a factor of 10, it's a factor of 2 pi, and I know that because I eyeballed it really scientifically. This makes life a lot nicer because that means it's a geometric factor and not like a physical factor. If it was g, then that would mean there was something wrong with my equations, when there clearly wasn't. Whereas if it's 2 pi, that means it's basically how I'm integrating something. So that makes life a lot better. I just ran the wrong program. Like an idiot. I'm running the right program now. This run feels important. Let me just turn to camera 2 in order to talk about it. There is no camera 2. I just moved camera 1. See? I can move it anywhere. You see, that would have been visible in frame in that last camera. It's amazing what you can do with one camera if you're creative. Or bored. So I know I've said before in this vlog, the forum's been busy this week. Well, yeah, this is Freshers Fair. Go on. Get out. Get out. Shoot. Go on. Get away.
You're hiding here.
So I'm here with all the chapel choir people at our school.
Look, it's me. Where am I?
Here you are.
There I am. Look, there I am. That was taken by my dad.
Noxie, how much free stuff have you got? How many years have you been at this uni?
Too many.
Too many.
So I don't know how loud it is, so I've got the microphone really close. But basically, we're helping out on the chapel stool, and Dan and Becky have just gone to get changed. Oh, they've just arrived! There he is! Yeah!
Hello, I'd like to become an aura, please.
Yes, I do.
Off you go. They won't stand out at all.
So the Freshers Fair is the main opportunity that student societies get to recruit new members, basically. It's the formal point at which you sign up to whatever it is you want to do, whether that's music or sport or whatever. And much as I would love to be sat on a desk talking to people about chapel choir and meeting fans of the vlog, because I have met quite a few of you this week, I'm instead back in the office. It's got to be done though. I want to finish. I've got to work. Okay, so I found where the problem was with my code. It's currently fixing itself, I think, at the moment. It wasn't a factor of 2 pi, it was a factor of about 2 pi. And it stems from a really basic, stupid mistake, as it always does with me. Let me explain. This might be very basic for some of you watching this, but it's a mistake I made, so probably worth repeating. So let's say that I was interested in working out the area of a rectangle. Here's one I made earlier. And the rectangle's got area A, and it's got height H, and width L, W, width W. And anybody who's done maths beyond the age of like 12 can tell you that A equals H times W. Easy, that wasn't the mistake I made. That's the end result that you want, right? But what you could do is break up, for example, instead of it just being W, you could have lots of tiny little W's. Actually, if you think about this, let's think of this as X and Y, like a graph, then this is dx, that little tiny bit of width. W then is just the sum of all of those little dx's put together, all end on end, the length of all of them added together. And you can write that in maths for stuff that is really, really small, where it's dx, you can write that as the integral, that's what that sign means, of dx. Literally, you just add them all up, that's all that means. And similarly, h is equal to the integral of dy, where dy is the tiny little element of the vertical. And technically they're not really small, they're infinitesimally small. They can't be any smaller or they'd cease to exist. So if a equals h times w, then you could just write it that it's equal to this times this, and you can do that in integrals by doing a double integral. So you're integrating once with dx and once with dy. Those two are exactly the same. Now this is all really easy for a rectangle because the dx's and the dy's don't change, so you might question why you'd want to do this, but let's say that you wanted to work out the surface area of a sphere. This is a very bad drawing of a sphere, sorry, I'm not very good at art. Now instead of having dx and dy, the two coordinates that you'd use to specify any point on a sphere are latitude and longitude, right? And typically, I would write that in my thesis as lambda and theta, two Greek letters. So the size of your little area, like your dx times dy, that you're then adding over the whole thing, that now becomes d lambda times d theta, like a little bit of longitude times a little bit of latitude. That corresponds to like a square on the ground, but it's not quite that simple. I apologise for the drawing I'm about to do, this is going to be terrible. Let's say that we're looking down near the North Pole of this sphere. If this was the Earth, we're looking down on the North Pole. Oh god. So the North Pole is, say, here, and let's draw some lines of latitude around it. I'm now also going to add some lines of longitude. Now they're not going to look it, but let's just assume, right, that each of these, they're equally distributed. So say, I don't know, this is longitude 10, this is longitude 20, longitude 30, whatever. And the same for these latitudes. Let's say that this is, say, I don't know, 80, 70, 60, 50. The point is, there's a difference of 10 between each solid line and a difference of 10 between each dotted line. That then means that this area, if we were to choose our d theta and d lambda, our d latitude, d longitude to be 10 each, that would be one chunk that you'd add up. But remember that the difference between these lines are the same. But this area here is so much bigger than this area here. It's bound by like 10 difference on each side, but this bit is smaller because it's closer to the pole. It's closer to where you're defining your latitudes as going up to 90 degrees. And herein lies Simon mistake of the vlog. Normally in spherical coordinates, which means that you specify with a latitude, a longitude, and a radius, but because you can assume the Earth's radius is about constant. Let's say the Earth's radius is A. You'd specify that the size of one of these areas is given by A, d theta, your infinitesimal increase of latitude, times a sine theta d lambda. So this, if you like, corresponds to your dy, like it's the amount up. It's this bit. Hang on, I don't want to rub it off. It's that section. Whereas the a sine theta dy is this bit. It's the x. And if you notice, that arc is bigger than that arc, it's bigger than that arc, and bigger than that arc. Such that when you're at the pole, your dx is, well, it's a times sine of 90, which is what... Oh, that's where I went wrong. Because I was taught this in an abstract kind of context, right? It wasn't in a geographical context. It was generally in spherical coordinates. And latitude in spherical coordinates, the theta, doesn't normally run from 90 to minus 90 like it does on the Earth. It runs from 0 to 180 because it just sort of feels a bit nicer. However, because latitude on the Earth varies from 90 to minus 90, you have to change your sine to a cos, because you want it to be 0 at the pole. So cos of 90 is 0 and cos of minus 90 is 0. Cos at 0 is 1, such that your dx and your dy are the same, which is what you want on the equator. In calculating an area, I had sine and I should have had cos. And that produced the difference because it was 1 minus, well, the figure was 1 minus cos 65 as opposed to 1 minus sine 65. That meant there was a difference. Instead of being 0.1, it was 0.6. So, about a difference of 2 pi, which is about 6. And, oh, it's such a stupid mistake. Book code is currently running that's going to fix that. I was really pleased with that drawing. Kind of sad to run it off. Yeah, code is currently running that's basically updating all of the cases where I've used an area on the planet. It's a small mistake, but it makes a massive difference. So, fingers crossed. That's basically the last bit of fiddling I have to do in my theory chapter. Please! So I forgot how long this code takes to run. Yeah, this is going to take for the rest of the day, I think. I've been doing emails and stuff, and then I knew it was going to take a long time to put it in a terminal. Watched these numbers count up, and I was like, oh, after a couple of hours, this isn't going to get done today. So I think I'm going to have to leave this running overnight, which means I get to go home early. It's only 5 o'clock on a Saturday and I get to go home. I've got more work to do, I've got to edit, but you know, I'm going home. I made a friend walking home. Hey, you're very friendly. Oh, you've got a bit of mud on you. You're right. Hey. Hey, you can scent mark it all you want. Bag's still mine. Oh, hello. How many students have you done this to today? Let's sort that out. I could do better. Whoa! I don't know if I've ever been as consistently tired as I am now. Like, it's 8 o'clock and I am dying. It is tough at the moment. Like, I think you could do a pros and cons list of my life, and obviously in the cons you've got I'm living in somebody's front room, which is still bigger than my old room was. I'm sleeping on a sofa bed. I am doing a PhD. I'm into my 9th year of higher education because of a disagreement between my supervisors, despite the fact that I've been working as hard as I can. I am constantly tired. Basically everybody I know from my degree has left Exeter, so I'm kind of on my own. And I'm working every day until like 9 or 10. But on the plus side, I'm alive. I've got a great relationship. I'm working on a PhD, which is an immense privilege. Even though I'm not being paid to do it anymore, still an amazing privilege to do it. And I know that afterwards I get a crack at doing the thing I'm really passionate about. I'm doing video production and trying to do science as a career. I have a phone that works. I think it's important to keep everything in perspective. At the end of the day, I'm still one of the luckiest people on the planet. You know, there's no two ways of looking at it. I'm just tired. Got to stop whining. Start living. I slept for 9.5 hours last night and I am still knackered. So today's kind of an odd one. Normally I'll be going up to campus to work in my office, but because basically my key card isn't letting me in the building anymore, I need to get a new card, and it's Sunday and I should probably be taking things a little bit easy because of how tired I am. I'm going to go and work in a coffee shop. I was just working for a couple of hours. Unfortunately that wasn't terribly productive. Basically I was like, aha, I found something, I found a mistake, and I went through and changed it all and then realised that I was actually right the first time because I'd thought about this like subtlety more carefully before, so I had to change it all back, so kind of going in circles, so not much progress. Come back home and there was me. I was about to record some audio for some Oxbridge videos, but I don't know if you can hear. I live so close to the cathedral in town now, but I can't because they're ringing the bloody bells. I just have to wait for this to stop. I have no idea how long this is going to be. It could be hours.
So in the meantime, I'm doing a bit of editing and also running some stuff. Oh, that's finished. Running some stuff on my computer.
They're still going.
Also in the past 2 hours, my computer started doing this. Like if I move the mouse, yeah. I'm not quite sure what's gone wrong. Also, I'm not sure what's gone wrong here. This should be close to 1. Well, it shouldn't do that at the bottom. Doesn't work, please.
So a bunch of videos that I've edited are now uploading, and I've given up on worrying about the PhD for today. That's Monday Simon's problem. I'm now going to go and sneak in my first run for the new house. Well, that hurt about as much as it did before, so I may have messed up my timing slightly. So that was a first for me. I just went to my first service where I wasn't in the chapel choir, just watched instead. Watch this, I'm going to turn into a villain. Whoa. So that's the last service I'll be doing without the new scholars that are coming in this year. So it's kind of to impress the people who are coming to audition, which I think it did. Now I'm staying on campus because I've been looking forward to all week the return of one of my favourite parts of the uni.
It's the campus cinema!
Now this definitely isn't something I need to do. In fact, I'm seeing a film I've already seen, and it's not even practical for me to go because I need to eat and this makes life very difficult. But I've been looking forward to this. Plus, as I thought it would be, it looks like it's going to be absolutely packed. And seeing a film in the campus cinema with loads of people is just kind of unique. Like, it's just fun. I forgot how fun that film was. It's the second time I've seen Guardians 2. The first time I actually did a review with Dan, which if you haven't seen, I'll include down below. I liked it better on the second viewing. Like I said before, there was something different about watching it in a room full of students. It's just more fun, and like everybody laughs at the jokes, and it was actually exactly what I needed. Right, now it's 11:30 on Sunday, which means that this vlog has to end because it's the end of the week. But it's not the end of my week because whilst it's gone past midnight, I had to stop and pick up a Subway. I haven't eaten yet. Whilst it is gone midnight, I still have work to do. I have a vlog to finish. I said I would finish it, and I'm going to finish it. So I'm going to be up editing for a little while yet. Thank you for watching this vlog, and I'll see you in the next one.